Hi, everybody. I'm Kollett. I'm the Director of Customer Experience Strategy here at One North. Before I get going, I do have one pro tip for any of you who are planning to go to Alinea and eat a balloon. If your hair is anything like mine, or if anybody with you has hair anything like mine, make sure you bring a tie. No good. Okay, so, is this working? Yeah, there we go. It's working. Okay, so here I am, and today what I'm going to talk about is returning to human. So what it looks like to work in the space of experience strategy in an emergent age. There are a couple things I'm going to go over. I've got four sections to my presentation. So first we're going to talk about that emergent age, take a guess what that age will be. We'll talk about what a possible future might look like in that emergent age, what it looks like to enable that future, and then we'll wrap up with some of the challenges that we can see moving forward. Let's start with this age. The information age, big statement here, coming to a close. Some people say that it's been coming to a close for about a decade now. Big question is, what's next? But before we talk about that, we're going to take a little bit of a look back at where we've come from. We'll start maybe 200 years ago with the industrial age. So the industrial age was a big deal for us as humans. It brought us mass production, brought us telecommunications, two big things, brought us steel, modern medicine, running water, a lot of things that we might not want to give up. If we take a look at some of the benefits, we gained comfort. So for more people, they had access to more products, lower prices. We had mass production here, less time and effort to do the work of living your daily life. So the famous example here is the washing machine, although we all know just meant we all got more clothes. Connectivity. So we could access people and have interactions with people further away more easily than ever before. So no more need for any Pony Express or passenger pigeons. We could just talk to them. And stability. So this was the time when we were moving away from farming and more into the space of offices and factories, and we had a lot less uncertainty around our well-being in general as a species. So that's all the good news. If you're interested in sort of a less rosy view, and really, honestly, I included this because all my colleagues have books, so I thought I should have one too. I can talk about, I have a 7-year-old, so I don't read a lot anymore, but I did finish this on the plane on the ride here, so I'm feeling pretty accomplished. It is very wide-ranging. It covers a lot more time than I'm going over here. I'm not sure that Yuval Noah Harari is particularly fond of human beings. It's a really good read nonetheless, so I do recommend it for real. At any rate, the information age. So here we are. It is bringing us instant access to people, products, information, and it's doing so at scale. So we have access to more than we've ever had before. Again, what we've gained from this time, so choice. We can choose from such a huge array of things these days. So entertainment, products, expertise, staggering variety of options. If the choices aren't enough for us, customization has arrived, so we can get something made bespoke for us in many, many, many areas. And finally, immediacy. Now is the answer. We can access information and share information immediately with our family, with the public, with pretty much anybody. Life has changed. It's moving very, very fast now, and it's very much about us. It also, unfortunately, has brought a pervasive state of overwhelm. So I don't know about how you feel. I was born in the 70s. I lived through sort of that bucolic, a little bit crazy era. I look back on it fondly. Probably there's nostalgia involved, of course. But I've now lived through basically the entire information age, and I can tell you that I feel pretty frantic a lot of the time. Now, to be fair, I get overwhelmed by the toothpaste aisle at the grocery store. It's too many choices, but the internet is just far too much for me. I found this quote while I was putting this talk together. I actually missed this because I'm not on Twitter. This was apparently a meme about 10 years ago, but I love it. Everything does happen so much. I really wish it would slow down sometimes. At any rate, we're at an inflection point. And the question we have is, what's next? So we've come through the industrial age. We've lived through the information age. What's coming now? The internet does have some suggestions. So it has some mundane suggestions. The post-information age, kind of boring. The data age, a little better. I like this one, the experience age. It's aligned with what I do for a living, convenient. The surveillance age, not so fond of that one. And finally, the truly terrifying age of reckoning, which I really hope is not upon us. So the good news is that this is my talk, so I get to say, we're inventing a future here, and I say that we're coming into the age of intuition. Intuiting experiences, so let's talk a little bit about this before I tell you what they're going to be like. Experiences, so first of all, I work in the space of customer experience strategy. That means what we're talking about is customer experiences, and this is many-to-many relationships between organizations and their customers. It includes things like employee experience, it includes customer experience, of course, patient experience, the whole list that Kollett gave us earlier. So it's all of those relationships, what the experiences will be like. I chose the word intuiting specifically because it is not intuitive, which is a lot easier to say, but we already talk about intuitive experiences, and this is not intuitive. This is intuiting. So let's move on and talk about what they'll be like, and then we're going to do an example to kind of help it make a little bit more sense. So intuiting experiences will, first of all, be prescient. They will be able to predict better than we can what we need. They will know before we even do. We have so much data. We can do this. We know before you even know the kinds of things. We can start to anticipate people's needs and give them what they need before they've even asked. They will be personal. So this sounds like we already do this, right? We have personalization, we have customization, but this is beyond that. This is in the space where we can anticipate people's needs. We also can know their circumstances, and experiences can adapt, they can shift, they can respond to the specific circumstances that a person finds themselves in. It becomes then a truly personal engagement with the experience. And finally, nearly invisible, 100% invisible would just be creepy. People do like to have some control over what is happening to them. But the idea here is that so much of what we offer in our services for our customers can actually happen in the background. We actually don't need them to engage with us quite as much as they do. We've been demanding that they engage with us for a very long time now, and there's so much more possible when we actually say, yes, I've got that handled for you. Hang on, and I'll come back to you when I need more input from you. So this is the thought behind an intuiting experience. This age of intuition, what I say, is that it can grant us openings to find our true selves and to bring them into the world. Our true value can come forth into the world. The word can is highlighted there very, very explicitly. The reason is this is not a foregone conclusion. As we know, I'm making this up right now. Like, I like this idea. I put my idealist hat on. I don't always wear it. But I've got it on today. This can happen, but it's going to take something to get there. In this space, so we can create openings for creativity. So for explore, test ideas, try new things, make something new. Connections. This is the time that we can take to actually fully look at, engage with our fellow humans. We spend a lot of time not paying attention to each other these days. It's time to re-engage. It's time to look them in the eye. What did Tom Peters say, 37 seconds, and you get better results from a surgery? That means something. Imagine what it could do for your everyday relationships. And spirituality. So time to pause and think about what really makes a difference to you. How do you want to make a difference in the world? And then go do that. This all sounds pretty nice. This is that return to human that I'm talking about in my title. So here's some examples of some of the things that we can find time for. These are the things that are maybe more business-oriented, so we know that we want to spend time innovating. We know we want to spend time growing and developing our colleagues. We know that we want to do kind of all of these lovely things. If we expand this list to include the things that we care about personally, I would put up there finding joy, right? So there's a whole lot that you can find for yourself in this new space as well. So that's all nice. It's very abstract. Let's talk about what it might look like in reality. So a possible future. And I've chosen the area of wellness here for a couple of reasons. One is that we don't have anyone here who's really working directly in the healthcare space, so I'm not doing anybody's work for them. And two, we all have experiences with wellness. We all have bodies. We all have doctors. I hope if you're not going to the doctor, go to the doctor. But so we can all really, this will resonate with us very personally. So imagine that you've recently been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. For some of you, this might not actually take any imagination at all. There may be people in this room for whom this has happened, for whom they have loved ones for whom this has happened. When something like this happens, you probably have some questions. So you're probably curious about how you could find the information that you need, the expertise that you need, so that you can feel confident as you take your next steps in this sort of new realm for your life. You're probably curious about how you can collect and keep track of all the information you need to keep track of to understand how you're doing. Are you still, or are you getting better? Are things improving for you? You're probably looking for ways you can find the right people to talk to just in your everyday life, so that support that you need, whether it's friends and family that you already have or new communities that you might want to engage in. And you're probably looking for ways to track and manage your treatment. So this is new. There will be things that you're now asked to do in order to help yourself, to get better, to be a healthy person again, to find your well-being. Overall, it's one big question, which is how do I make sure that everything that's happening to me has as little impact on my lifestyle as possible? So let's cast our imaginations here. What if, to get started, you immediately get access to online resources that are personalized specifically for you? This is both things you might want to read, groups you might want to join, things that are in your real-world community that might be helpful to you. You get your first of a series of monthly care boxes, and it includes the first one. It includes a medicine dispenser for you. It includes your first monthly prescription. It includes some other things that might just help you feel better in the short term, whether those are additional things like, why am I blanking on the word right now for you eat them too, supplements, there we go. Or even just something cozy so that you can take a nice nap. And then finally, a wellness coach reaches out to you right away to make sure that you're on track and that you understand what the shifts are going to look like in your life and how you might start to make room for them. To keep you going, so this is a long-term deal, right? This is going to be probably the rest of your life. So you get recommendations for short and long-term goals that you can add into your life that are based on things you already do, but they can give you ways to adjust your current routine so that it'll work in your new context. You get notifications recommending if you might want to kind of make slight changes to what you're doing in order to prevent something like a flare-up or to help you feel a little bit better. This could include things like going for a walk or even listening to the music that we now know helps you to sort of regulate. And finally, if a quick meal might help, we've got you. So you're offered a recipe recommendation that is aware of what you have in your refrigerator. It's something you can make easily right now and that will help you feel better and in your body and well. And finally, when things take a turn for the worse, because they might, based on updates that you've been making, so these are physical updates, these are mental health updates, your physicians actually know. They know right away that you probably need help. And in this time, they may, in this case, so I'm making up this example, but you might need a couple of tests. You might need to go speak with them. So you're automatically invited to schedule these tests, go in. Apologies to anybody who doesn't like needles. And after you've had this blood drawn in this case, you have a conversation with your physician, and you are advised what adjustments you might need to make to your routine. Your care box is updated automatically. And if there is a crisis, so finally, number 9 here, if something goes really, really wrong and you need a few days away to recover, your life is kind of handled for you. So everything that needs to be rescheduled is, or there are reminders where you can kind of come back online and handle it later. Everything's just pretty much put on hold. And then when you're back, everything is back online, you kind of come back to your life. So this is just one example, a quick story of what is possible. Overall, what this is providing is the reduction in mental load. So the patients don't need to think about quite so much anymore. They don't need to manage their tasks over time. They have more time for the things that enhance their well-being. Intuiting experiences like this, they're possible in every single context in which people exist. And by the way, everything I just told you about, that's possible for the most part with the technology that we have available today. It just doesn't exist yet. It's possible right now, and it doesn't exist yet. But why should we focus here? Why would we create these? So it sounds expensive. I mean, Tom thinks it's worth it, right? So that maybe should be enough. But it sounds expensive. It sounds hard. If we think about that example that I just gave, who is actually doing that? Is it the physicians? Is it the people with the pharmacies? Is it insurers? Is it other people who are providing wellness equipment or supplements or that like that? Who's doing it? None of them could do it alone. So that sounds really, really difficult. There's a quick answer that I'm going to put in here, and this is, again, related back to Tom Peters, but so business has to give people enriching, rewarding lives, or it's just not worth doing. Like, why are we here? And this means both our customers and our employees, by the way. It's not limited just to the people that we're doing business with or that we're transacting with. Business exists to enhance human well-being. Okay, so let's talk about what it might look like to enable that future, these intuiting experiences. We already have most of what we need. So I just said this. We have a lot of technology. There's a lot more coming online. These technologies, they form a basis. So here's a lovely laundry list of them. I'm not going to talk about any of them. I know enough about them to know kind of what they do and how we might use them in a future state experience. Vanu will cover off on that later. But you can see there's a lot happening in the world. We know this already. All of these things can be brought to bear in intuitive experiences, or intuiting experiences. Data will provide that insight. So we talked about this earlier. We have gobs and gobs of data these days. We don't necessarily know how to harness it yet, but that is what's going to be behind the scenes here, ensuring that we're providing these intuiting experiences. And finally, business strategy is already trending toward ecosystems. So when I talk about who needs to be involved, this is what they're already thinking about. These ecosystems look like a couple different things. There here are some articles about this trend. I'm talking about product and service ecosystems. This is not technology ecosystems. There are two different versions of them that these folks are talking about. One of them is one where you expand your own services into adjacent spaces to sort of fulfill on broader needs for your customers. The other is where you join forces with other people in order to provide a more comprehensive set of related services. It may be that there's sort of one owner and you're hooking in, or it may be that it really truly is a collaboration. But at any rate, this is a live conversation right now. So these things are happening. We have the tools, and we're moving in this direction. It seems like, but something's still missing. So we're not seeing experiences like this, like I'm describing, come online. What are we still missing? Perspective and permission are the two things that I see. We've heard the word perspective a lot already today, so we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Permission's a little bit new, but we're going to go into both of these. So for perspective, designing and building these intuiting experiences requires that we truly center the human with our work. So aren't we already doing this? We talk about human-centered design. We have that double diamond. We are, to an extent. This is a little bit what it looks like to work around one customer. So when we center our customers, we certainly think about our relationships with our customers. We do it sort of in this way because we, at the center, have relationships with a very large number of customers. When we're thinking about these relationships, we're limited in it. We're thinking about really how we're interacting with them directly. We're not thinking about kind of everything that's happening off to the sides. So if we redraw this diagram and we put our customer really in the center, we're kind of off to the side there, the thing we might want to acknowledge is, yes, they have a relationship with us, but they probably already also have relationships with other companies that are in our same industry. And beyond that, they're managing relationships with companies in a whole lot of other industries. So their world looks really different when they think about their relationship with us. It looks really different from the way that we think about our relationship with them. This is truly centering the customer. And beyond this, they're doing a lot of work to triangulate among these different services that they're getting from different companies. And this is what's missing. It's that in-between, the connections that customers are having to make in order to inform whatever's next for them. So to build intuition into an experience, here are just a couple tips for us. So first, the thing that is going to make this easiest is to identify those changes in circumstance that will shift customers' needs. So of course, we're building on a foundation of having already explored and we have a customer experience in place, but this is where you're going to find the real needs for the in-between. It's when things change and they need to make changes to their own plans. Identifying and connecting to those means of data that can help you anticipate the changes so that you can get ahead of them with the customers. Taking a look at what their responses are now. So they don't have the help that we might be able to offer them now, but they are responding. Figuring out where opportunities in there live for you to support them in new ways, whether that's directly or through collaboration with new partners. And finally, I got ahead of myself, excuse me. Yep. Oh, yes. So over time, you're going to isolate those actions that they are taking and really do try to help them either avoid the changes in circumstance that they're trying to avoid or support them so that they can respond as quickly as possible. Okay, so permission. So this is the second half. This one's a little bit more self-explanatory. So in order to provide experiences like this, we really will have to build a level of trust that we don't necessarily have with our customers right now. And it's going to take time to build this. So if we think about it, we've spent a lot of time sort of collectively, I won't be nice about it, manipulating our customers into interacting with us in the ways that we might like, taking their data and using it in ways that they might not have anticipated and they might not be particularly happy with. And this is not an indictment. I don't say that we're all doing this or that we have evil intentions as we are, but this has sort of been what it's been like. So we need to recover from this. I have a couple steps here as well. So this is as we move into the space of an intuiting experience, letting them know, we should be doing this anyway, but as we're moving into an intuiting experience, letting them know exactly which data we need, how we're going to be using it, and taking very, 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 very good care of it. Showing the customers the value. Again, this is something we should already do as we introduce new features and functions. Showing them the value slowly with small ways, and then building on that until you can realize its full promise. And then finally, this is maybe the most important step, is include the human interactions that make it feel okay for this intuiting experience to exist. Ensure your customers that they do remain in control, because otherwise it starts to feel like our overlords are here and they're taking over our lives. We do not want that. Okay, one more section, challenges ahead. So we all know that I have completely made up this future, this new age. No one can know what the future will actually bring. But the thing is that we, the people in this room, we are the people who are going to build this future, so we have a say in it. We get to be the ones who create that future. So the question back to us is, will we embrace this intuition? Is it something we want to bring to fruition? I don't really have any advice about what to do next, because again, this does not exist. So I don't have answers like some of my colleagues have for you. I really have another set of more questions. So I have in two categories, two categories. One, experience considerations, and the other are business considerations. And these really are just a couple quick questions. So where are those? What are the kinds of intuiting experiences that your customers might welcome, that they might really like having in their world? Which things should remain explicit human interactions? Where is it not the right choice for your customer experience? And then finally, where those intuiting experiences are not right, is it actually possible to face them inward and provide something instead that might look like intuiting service? That's on the experience front. On the business side, another set of 3 questions. These are some pretty critical ones. Are you willing to give up ownership of your customers' data? It's not yours, it's really theirs. And in order to take advantage of more of it, you need to ensure that they retain ownership of it. Are you willing to give up engagement as a business strategy? So is it okay for some of these experiences to be invisible? Do you trust that your customers will still be there if you shift to that model? And finally, are you willing to collaborate with unexpected partners and possibly even your competitors? I'll leave you with one question, which is, are you willing to let an age of intuition grant us our humanity?